Hi, everyone. Welcome to Metal. Every week we do an amazing show, which is all around the first mover. First mover, it's got a great name, right? But you need to be the first mover when it comes to what's going on with real estate. So if you're doing something on the commercial side, which is pretty dynamic, explosive, but also on the personal side, Nathanial Getzels, is here every week to give us an inundation of what's going on in the markets around the world, not just where you're at, but everywhere. And this is Nathaniel's show. Nathaniel, take us away.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to The First Mover. So last week, we were talking a little bit about different ways that some of the people are going to be living. And a lot of that's becoming more of a mobile possibility for especially the lower end, and actually a lot of the higher end as well. There's a big section of people that are just thinking, especially this year with COVID and, people not being able to come over, they're just traveling around. They're traveling around. They're going to explore, see what there is to see, and, see where's exciting. Maybe they find a new place that fits them better. Maybe they meet new friends and come home. We'll see. You never know what's going to happen. If there's a year to do it, this is definitely the year. You're not missing anything at home. That's for sure.
Nathaniel, I got to tell you, so I've been, I'm planning a trip for an entire year starting in November, a different country every year.
That's right. That sounds like so much fun, by the way.
Well, it's like a dream, right? But it blows my mind on prices. Let me just tell you. So if you wanted to stay in a hotel, the St. Regis in Bali, which is normally $720 a night, you can stay there for 30 days with your food included for $1,000 for the whole month.
So in other words, what you're telling me is everyone on this call, I'll see you in Bali in a week?
It's not easy to get to Bali, so there's a trick there, but the Airbnbs are insane. I found a 4-bedroom Airbnb with a live-in maid and a live-in chef that's 3,500 square feet and 2 pools for $1,400 a month. It's crazy. So
with a live-in chef. Okay.
A live-in chef. I know, it's kind of crazy. But again, it is tricky to get into certain countries around the world. So don't think you can just hop on a plane and you're automatically able to walk in to a lot of the countries, meaning there's only probably about 13 countries on Earth right now where you could just fly in and fly out from the United States. Otherwise, you have to really bend over backwards to get in. So
So in other words, for all you single guys, marry someone in the country you want to go to and you'll be fine.
It's not even that easy. They're restricting. Let me give you an example. Marco Tempest, who's a Metal member, they wouldn't let his wife/girlfriend, they are married on paper, into Switzerland because she wasn't Swiss. She's American. So it's not as easy as one would think, but I'm saying there is some ways of getting around it. But let's focus on what's going on in the real estate market.
Yeah. So actually with the traveling around the country, we have an expert here within the US, which is what most of the Americans I've talked to are doing because of all those restrictions. So I know he's spoken to us before, and I just wanted to check in with him real quick. How did you travel the country, Brandon?
Yeah, so you guys want to hear the part where I traveled and slept in my truck a lot, or the part where I slept in a bunch of hotels and VRBOs, and which part do you want to hear?
Well, let's just do this. Let's just pretend our favorite 2 words in travel is Ritz Carlton. Let's just pretend those are our 2 favorite words. Okay, so follow that path.
Okay, well, I can't say I always went the fancy route. I'll share from what I did do and some of the lessons I learned and how it can help you save some money. I think the biggest thing when you're traveling, and it's funny because in 9 days, I'm doing a 10-day trip and I'm driving around the country, and my wife's going to be for 2 days, but the rest of it I'm doing. And there might be days I might just sleep in my Tahoe because I prefer doing that some nights because I enjoy it in the mountains. But what I would say is when you're going to these different cities, for one, it's a little different now because things are shut down in certain states. Every state's different. But the lesson I learned the hard way is what's happening in that city during that time. Like, what are the big events happening? So, like, when I was in Scottsdale in January, there's the Barrett-Jackson, there's the Phoenix Open, there's all these big events. So your chance of finding a place at a decent rate, there's no chance. You're fucked. And then you look at the South by Southwest. When I went and stayed in Austin, Texas, my dumbass didn't think about that. And I was in South by Southwest during the toughest time.
Yeah, but
So it
that's
was
when the
expensive.
events were happening. Most of these events have been postponed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
also seems like the most fun time. So
yeah,
seems
so
like
think
the
about,
time that
for
I'd want
one,
to be there.
what's happening in that city when you're going to stay somewhere. So what are the different things happening during that time that'll increase the rates? But now looking at the different locations, so like we would go to VRBOs, we would go to Airbnbs, and then we would do some short-term rentals. Everything's negotiable. Don't ever pay what is asked. I never did. Always reach out to the person. So like on VRBO or Airbnb, you can message the people, and I would always message them. And I would reach out to like 4 of my top locations, and I would say, hey, here's what we're doing. I'd give a little story background so they kind of knew who I was personally. And I said, this is what I'm looking to do. Here's our budget. And I would tell them a price. And sometimes what they would do is like, okay, we'll do it. And then they send you a link, and then you can pay them right away. So that's one thing. Everything's always negotiable when you go to these different places. And if you stay there a little longer, you can get a better deal. So know that. Don't just pay what people want. And then there's some places that are new, and they're willing to take a better deal. So like, because they want to get their place out there and they want to start getting it booked and getting reviews, they'll be willing to do it for a much lower price because they haven't got their stuff out there yet. So what we did, this is a little different, but because we have a TV show, we would say, hey, our film crew will create a quick little promo video and we'll give it to you guys. So sometimes we did that, and we got the whole stay for free. Like I think I shared last time, I got to stay in a $3 million mansion for 35 days for absolutely free because we created a short little promo video for them. So those are a couple things. And then also, if you're looking to stay in some of these cities, I mean, obviously you got Nathaniel for that look out in LA area, but we became friends with the real estate agents because the real estate agents know everything in the city. Like they know all the best locations. They know all the best hangouts. So when we became friends with the agents, they hooked us up with all kinds of free stuff. We got into games for free. We got all these things that most people wouldn't get.
Well, and Brandon, not just here, but if anybody has, urges to move or explore other cities, we actually have a network in almost every city now. And like we're going to hear from one of our awesome metal extension network later today on this show.
Can I, real quick, I just want to say there are groups that you can join to get discounts in different areas. Let me just give you an example. So I mentioned Bali earlier because that's just one of our stops. And I went and looked at Airbnbs in Bali. And then I start to realize that, like Brandon said, everything's negotiable. Let me give you an example. Let me see if I could show this to you real quick. So this here is a list of Airbnbs that I found in Bali. And what I did is broke them down. Now, these include, if you notice on the top, all properties come with a housekeeper every 3 days, laundry once a week, free Wi-Fi, electricity is separate. Now, like, for example, this top one right here, it's 5 bedrooms. Semiac's a really cool area. I want to show you something. Check this out. It's $1,400 for a month. For a month, this is what it is priced out on the Airbnb site. On Airbnb, it's $173. So it's almost $6,000 a month on the Airbnb side of things. But look at this place, 5 bedrooms, pools. This is what you're getting. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is a lot of the high traffic vacation areas, being Thailand, if you're going to Chiang Mai, or if you're thinking about going somewhere else, you want to see, and the way to do this is on Facebook, look to see if there's consolidation groups that come together that list all these Airbnb with deal prices on there. You have to search for them. Exactly, Brandon said, most of these things are highly negotiable. So just be aware of that. I found some incredible lists. So if you guys are thinking about moving around, let me know. I could even find some for different parts of the United States also. But there are killer deals out there right now.
One other thing I want to mention to that is, one thing I did that most people didn't really do is when I sent a message to the person asking for a deal, I told them a little bit about myself and my wife, and I gave them more of a personal connection so they could hear our story. And because they connected with us, like there was one deal, we literally got it because they loved what we were doing.
But you
And
did say you were swingers too, right?
And when you sent the intro, you had nude photos. So there's
nude
that.
photos and everything. But
Yeah,
no,
I think
don't
that's the key.
underestimate the power of personalizing yourself, because people are people. Like sometimes people do things because they like you and they won't care so much about the money. It'll
right.
happen. Some people are assholes, but there are those people that will do that. So just tell them who you are as a person. Don't just, hey, can I get a discount?
Right. Absolutely. Now, you're about to go on tour again. Are you going to be sleeping in your Tahoe, or are you going to go with the Ritz?
So my wife's with me for part of it, so that's not an option to sleep in the Tahoe. She doesn't like that. But no, now that I went to all these cities, I have connections in all these cities where I can stay with my friends.
Yeah.
So I do it that route, or I'm just going to spend a week with Ken. I didn't know if I told Ken that yet, but I'm just kidding.
Ken's door is always open.
I got a
it's open
room.
now.
You better hurry up because all the luggage or all the furniture is going to be gone soon. But hey, we'll talk about it when I see you.
There you go.
So hey, let's focus on real estate now.
Yeah, I wanted to touch a little bit on a opportunity that we see popping up, at least in the central United States, which is and we talked about a little bit last week. It's where a lot of people are planning to live in alternative situations like campers and trailers and things like that. But the opportunity is there's people who are buying huge swaths of land and setting up different kind of connections. So basically it's not really a trailer park, but it's like a temporary trailer park. So you're going to see a lot of buses and different things like that. I just wanted to quickly go through some of those that you'll be seeing parks of these things pop up. Ken, can I get the power to the screen?
Yeah. Which, by the way, everyone, if you know anything about properties, the best ROI for property is either storage, storage areas where you have lockers and all that. And the second best is trailer parks. If you own a trailer park, man, you can make a great return as long as you got that thing populated.
That's right. And you know what? I think there's a new trailer parks are gold. If you can get a trailer park, it's absolutely amazing. But the other thing that is a huge investment opportunity is open land where you think cities are going to grow. So understanding where cities are going to grow to is super important. The wealthiest people I've ever met bought land that was empty, that was seen as nothing. And
like Bugsy Malone.
Actually, yes, the wealthiest guy who I've ever met in my life bought all the land about 30, 40 years ago that he could on the edge of Vegas. Now, if you know about Vegas, he knew where it was going to go. He knew where the strip was moving. He knew where the big expansions were going. And that's something that's dynamically changing right now because, everything's been around transportation up until now. Now we have, as Ken likes to say, teleportation, and people are going to be living in all different places. So real quick, though, I wanted to go over some of the ways to get that people are going to be living in these other locations. Can you see that?
Yep. Press play.
Okay, great. So
press play.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go. All right. So there's obviously the converted school bus, which if you own the land where this is, all you need to do is hook up water, electricity, and you're done. And you could get, depending on where it is, $500 to $2,000 a month per little spot. And this is land that I'm talking about. You could buy it for pennies on the dollar. What's that?
Explain what you're saying, that people will rent where the bus is for $2,000 a month?
In certain areas, yes. In Apple Valley, there's a community that they bought raw land that nobody wanted, sat there vacant for a very long time. There's no improvements, and they're expecting to get $1,500 to $1,700 off the bat, with an increase of 3 to 5% for the next 5 years consistently. And they've already projected 100% occupancy. Wow. And they have something like 600 spots, but keep in mind, around it, there is nothing. So they can just keep buying up the land because this is a new frontier, really. So just to give you an idea, living room, kitchen, I guess. Home tour is going to be quick in this one. And then that's a toilet that there's no water. So quick home tour, no water. So what it does is it's called a black toilet, I think, where it just goes into dirt. The dirt dries up and then you just dump it somewhere.
You know, the astronaut who's on at 7 o'clock can talk about how a toilet with no water works too. So it's good.
There you go.
Good segue.
So you can see the inside of these. Some of them are real pretty. Kind of a little rustic feel there. This one feels like Martha Stewart to me. This is kind of a college vibe. This one looks like a house, and you could actually, what I've seen some people doing, especially in Malibu and higher end areas where the land has gotten very, very, very expensive. People will buy the land and park something like this, build around it, and live in it permanently. And they have an ocean view, and you know, ocean view, no real infrastructure, not a lot of problems with permitting. It's no problem. So it's a very interesting thing buying land right now. I think it's a big opportunity where previously it was seen as a kind of a big risk. I think there's less risk to it now. And these kinds of things are why.
You went from Apple Valley to the ocean, two different types of land structures.
Absolutely different. And Apple Valley is doing these big parks. Malibu has a lot of restrictions and won't let you do a big park of it, but you can own your own land and put the hookups and live in a trailer or a converted bus or whatever this kind of 80s rock and roll velvety thing is. Not quite sure. And then size matters. So yeah, I don't know what the left one says about you, but the right one, I think you got something real special going on. Now, if you have a different kind of a feel to you, or you want to travel around and explore, you have a different kind of this is a little change of pace here.
Richard Burke used to make these.
That's right. Richard Burr actually made this one specifically.
I still do.
Oh, you do? You made this one, Richard?
That's right.
Yeah.
I brought that one on the left, the metal. The one on the right is a different one that I've done. I've done hundreds of these through the years. These are primarily sprinter vans. These are adventure vehicles. These are on the smaller platform, but they get as large as you've seen the long wheelbase Airstreams. These are more mobile, so you can go into the parks and travel, and these will fit into a standard parking space.
Richard, have you seen a big increase in people ordering these from you for longer term living, or are you more on the high end that is like the luxury traveler?
Well, both. You know, the demand from these has just completely outstripped the ability to build them in a timely manner. And now we're months out on getting these things. So if you haven't done one, and you know, it's not going to happen for till the end of this calendar year at the soonest. And people are looking for ways to travel in their own cocoon and keep their family together, be comfortable, not have to go into hotels, restrooms, etc. when they're traveling if they don't want to. And the access to the national parks is outstanding if they're not on fire, at least.
That's excellent.
What's the price of something like that?
But what is the range? What's the price range? Is it like, yeah, like compared to like a school bus that you could do for like, you know, well, 20 to 100, I guess?
Well, these are high-end vehicles. The vehicles themselves are going to be 50 to about 70 with four-wheel drive, and then the conversion is going to be another 60 to 120 on top of that, depending on how extensive you want it to be. But these things get over 20 to 25 miles per gallon in fuel economy on their diesels. And you know, they're extremely comfortable. You can plug them into Shoreline Power. They have solar, so they can keep the condiments in the fridges cold, whether you're in the vehicle or not, for days. And
I've never tried a cold condom. Are those good? A little longer lasting?
I bet you tasted a condiment, though.
Oh, there's some.
Oh, there it is.
Thank you,
So,
Richard.
in other words, you could get one of these, and for the price of the thing and then the land rent, you could buy a house in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
The best way to use something like this, in my opinion, is to is to take it, go to the destination that you want, and then drive it to a local airport and park it, and then come back a few weeks later, pick it up, and continue on to the next destination and just advance it. And if you do that with another owner or two or three, then you can split the cost of it and just move the vehicle through the national parks, or if your thing is baseball parks, or whatever it is, certain cities, you can advance it up to through Canada to Alaska one summer. You can just have amazing experience in this.
There you go. Thank you, Richard.
Absolutely. Thanks, Richard. So to completely change gears from that, oh, there we go. So a lot of people have been asking me about what's going on in the luxury market, and $30+ million houses are selling like hotcakes right now. And people are going, well, you know, we're in a recession. Why is that? It's the ultra high level homes that are moving. And Patrick, feel free to chime in as well, because, you know, maybe I'm sure the same is true in Hawaii. But
Why don't you introduce Patrick?
Oh, everybody, yes, this is Patrick. He is an absolutely amazing top agent in Hawaii. And actually, Patrick, why don't you tell us a little about yourself right now, and we'll get back to this in a minute.
Sure. Yeah, happy to. Thanks for having me on, guys. Patrick Frienta here over in Maui, beautiful Maui. I am the principal of a luxury resort real estate team focusing in the resort markets of Maui and Greater Hawaii area. We are affiliated with Coldwell Banker, got to throw that in there. And yeah, you said it, you know, high-end market segment right now has been on fire. I think definitely for higher quality of life destinations. And, you know, for us, not necessarily the 30 plus, because we actually only have one listing on Maui over 30 million, but our 10 plus market right now has seeing a much higher volume of pendings than we've seen probably in the last, you know, 5 years plus. So very interesting times.
Got it. And when we say Maui, are you focusing on the entire island of Maui, or we're doing Hana and everywhere? And are you focusing on the Big Island, or just Maui, or all the islands?
Yeah, so our team specifically focuses in the resort markets of Maui. So that would be Wailea Makena primarily, Kaanapali, Lahaina, and Kapalua.
Got it.
So
Okay.
basically, you got all the leeward destinations where most people are visiting and traveling to.
And who do you see, is there a big influx right now? Is there a lot of people leaving, like a lot of the big cities? What are you seeing? What's the trend there right now?
So definitely seeing some shifting going on. Right now, a lot of it is preliminary talk and noise, right? I'm fielding calls every day from people discussing their options, considering the move, planning the move. We're not seeing it necessarily translate into actual movers yet at a high volume, but we're definitely starting to see that. You know, our volume of sight unseen transactions over the past 5-6 months, whatever it's been since this whole thing started, is absolutely through the roof. Right now, about half of the deals we're doing are sight unseen buyers.
Wow. Wow.
So we're facilitating the entire transaction through video, FaceTime most of the time, and walking them through the process. And, you know, they fly over here when, you know, they got to ship their car, ship their belongings, everything. So it's generally a few weeks to a month later, they show up at their house that they've never seen in person. And, you know, and then to throw the cherry on top right now, you got to quarantine for 14 days here. So
Patrick,
yes.
Going to Hawaii is definitely a lifestyle type move, because the only reason you're going there is for lifestyle, because there's no saving taxes. It's one of the most expensive places in America to live.
Absolutely.
So you're paying a premium on both sides. So are we looking at an older audience that's moving there, or is there a bigger distribution where you're seeing it's kind of all over the map?
So generally that's been the rule, right? Generally, you know, Hawaii's been the destination for the wealthier, the retired, people who have already made their money, right? And, you know, either have a second or third home here or decide to move full-time for the quality of life. Now we're seeing that translate into a younger demographic, younger professionals that are still generating income, but they can work remotely, right? Or they, they're in tech, whatever it may be. And, they're still working full time, but they can choose where they want to be. So we are starting to see that shift. And to me, it's quite exciting because, with how things are looking, a lot of people are going to be moving to these high quality destinations if they can still have their job at, Apple or Google or wherever it may be and get paid, what they were getting paid previously and work from the beach, right?
So Patrick, with, what kind of a purchase are they making for people who are working from home? What sort of properties are they buying? Are they buying more single family homes, or are they moving more into like the, more happening kind of little resort areas?
Yeah. So, Maui doesn't really have, I guess a more happening downtown kind of spot. We're an island of 150,000 full-time residents, so it's a small area geographically, and demographically. We were seeing just under 3 million visitors a year until this thing happened. So, the drive has.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, the focus has been on single family far and away. Yeah, and I think the people that are coming here, they're looking to get out of these metro areas, these metro markets where, you're living in a small apartment in a high rise, right? They're looking for space. They're looking for a yard where they can have a garden. Nathanial, our mutual friend who just moved out here, that's one of the things he's most excited about, right? He's planting his garden. He's like, I'm planting what we're going to eat, 6 months from now. So,
and that's funny because, he moved from Colorado, which you think is big, open land space, but I guess you get a lot of cold, which kills your garden. So,
right. Yeah.
Now,
we've got a year round growing season.
Right. So with the big drop of tourism, has that created a buying opportunity in any of the markets there?
Absolutely. So, our market right now, extremely hot, but it's very segmented. Mm-hmm. We're seeing activity in the high end single family. Actually single family across the board is quite robust. Where the real opportunities are right now, and where I'm, sure you guys are assuming, is in the vacation rental, short-term rental market. Right. We've got a huge volume of inventory here that's focused on tourism. We got to have travelers for those to generate revenue. Our occupancy rates historically have been through the roof, and it's been a good place to put your money for, short-term rental investment. All those are sitting empty right now. And, right. And unfortunately, our local government continues to restrict travel. Fingers crossed, October 1st is our open date, which they might waive the 14-day quarantine, but we'll see in the next few days. But yeah, so what we're seeing. Yeah.
It seems like that is the segment of the market that's bleeding, if you will, right? So are Absolutely. You seeing a lot of distressed sales in that space? You are in the most expensive state in the country. Well, not the most expensive, but one of the most expensive markets. So is there still, but people are in for the haircut? They're taking a haircut?
They are. It's a slow move, right? We're not seeing, huge volume of fire sales by any means. Right. But just a pure indicator, our condo inventory is up 30% from this time last year. Our single family inventory is as tight as it's ever been since, the recovery. So that kind of tells the story right there, right? We've got a much higher volume of inventory coming on, primarily short-term rentals. Mm-hmm. And we are, I've put several clients over the past few months into some good deals. We're not talking fire sales. We're talking, 10, 15% discounts on pre-COVID values. But we're starting to see that trend in our inventory every day. It keeps increasing, and the buyer pool for these short-term rentals is quite small, right? Because who's going to jump into one of these when the guaranteed revenue is an unknown. They have no idea when the guests can come back, when they can start renting again.
So are you seeing
yeah.
a lot of the people who are in the condos or just people in general? Is it similar to here where people are planning to live in trailers and vans and things like that? Or that's not really an island problem, right?
Yeah, you know, we're definitely seeing some of that. Unfortunately, it's being driven more by necessity than by choice here. You know, we've got a lot of.
You've got a lot of. Sorry, go ahead. What's that?
We've just, you know, we're seeing more and more people living in their cars, and generally these were people that were working, you know, in the hospitality, restaurants, whatever it may be, that are unemployed, that are now living on the beach.
Right. So is that an opportunity for someone like Richard to come in and create a cottage industry right on Maui?
It would be, but we have restrictions preventing that.
Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So you can't do that here, unfortunately.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah, they max the number, even if it's temporary dwelling.
Patrick, let's step back real quick. So we've been looking at different locations around the United States to move and the favorability. Most people have a tendency that they're trying to leave high tax states and go to Texas or go to Nashville or Florida. We're seeing 1,000 people moving to Florida every single day. 1,000. That's what the number is. Or Washington. I'm still a bit lost. If we're seeing that type of tropical environment in Florida, even though there's a bunch of nut jobs down there, we're still seeing a massive uptake. What value, especially in a time where we're seeing higher taxes driving people out of their states, why would somebody say Hawaii is that destination? What does it have over something like Florida?
Have you been to both places? Have you been to?
I have home in both places. I'm asking you to answer it.
Most people that have, you know, that would compare Hawaii and Florida would say there could not be farther apart from each other. Yes, they both have tropical weather. Quality of life and diversity of the destination is completely different. And it is purely a quality of life decision. You know, I absolutely agree with you that the financial incentives of Florida, you know, far outweigh any financial incentives in Hawaii. You know, Hawaii's the most expensive place to live in the country, bar none.
Yeah.
If you factor in all, you know, all the variables. Purely a quality of life decision. Absolutely. A lot of people look here as a good place to put your money for long-term asset investment as well. You know, Hawaii has done well over time. And, you know, if people are looking to, you know, purchase a real estate asset and, you know, hold it for long-term, Hawaii's a good place to be for that.
I'm just wondering, any guys in the group, would you be interested in moving to Hawaii, or are you more or less looking at as an investment opportunity? You know, I see Brandon go, no way, I don't want to do that. He's already landlocked in Minnesota.
Well, he can't drive there in his Tahoe, so
that's
you know.
it. He can't sleep on the beach in his Tahoe.
Yeah.
But I'm just kind of curious, would anybody want to? Would anybody want to live in Hawaii? Just raise your hand if you would want to. John, Z's got this killer place down. Yeah, maybe we're just too young. Nicholas, no? Not enough trees for you?
No Hawaii.
Big island.
Adam, by the way, speaking of quality of life, look at Adam's view. He finally has it on. He's not in that weird
that's a real
room of
view.
his.
Adam, that's a real view, right?
Yep, that is the actual view. I mean, it's a picture of the actual view because I'm still in my other room. But
Oh, you're still in the kill room. Got it.
actual view.
So why don't you go upstairs in the real room and be up there? Downstairs is so.
It's not downstairs. It's all on one floor. It just happens to be where my big monitor is and everything. So.
Right.
Edwin, can you hear us in there?
Because
No?
he's got so much traffic and visitors at his house. He wants to make sure he keeps the monitor downstairs.
Yeah,
That's right.
I'm here. Hey,
So-
Ken, can you
Yeah.
hear me?
Yeah, Z.
There he
I'm
is.
fascinated you guys were talking about those mobile homes and land on. That's exactly what I've been doing out in Lancaster. I've been in Lancaster like 3 days a week now looking for land. Lancaster and Palmdale. Just to
I
buy
have a
land.
lot of land there,
Exactly.
actually.
Yeah, that
Ethan.
seems to be the spot. Like to jump in. I don't know.
Well, you know, I have about, one of the pieces I have out there that I recently surveyed is about 10 acres. And 3 years ago when I bought it, I went out there and there was nothing. Like you couldn't see anybody. And over the last few years, now I see tons of trailers and different kind of weird living things pop up out there.
What you said is exactly what's happening. I went out there just to look at like raw land. There's no roads, right? Dirt.
Yeah.
But in the middle of the raw land, there'll be like an encampment of just a bunch of vans. And then you just drive further, another encampment.
So it's not actually raw land. What you're looking at are different lots. And if you're on dirt roads, those are actually, most of them are mapped roads.
Right.
And the key, if you're going to buy raw land out there, what you want to make sure is there is road access. So you don't have to get an easement through somebody else's land. And there's enough of it that it's easy to do. You just map out where the paper roads are.
Well, water, power, and septic are the three big things. I've been calling the city and figuring out how much it costs.
Water out there, basically, most people are on a water tank, which ends up costing about the same as DWP, and it's actually more secure because you control your water source. Power, people tend to do solar, propane, and a generator. And septic, you could put a septic system in, or you can have like a black water, I think it's called, toilet, the kind that don't have running water that compost into dirt, basically.
Compost toilet,
Yeah. I wanted to ask Edwin, I know he just popped in here, but would you ever live in Hawaii? We have Patrick here, who's probably, I don't know where he is compared to you, but he's somewhere in the boxes compared to you. And we've been talking about that people move to Hawaii strictly for lifestyle, though it does tend to be one of the most expensive places. Would you move somewhere strictly for lifestyle?
Yes, I would. Actually been looking at property in Hawaii, but just for renting out. But Maui is my favorite place in the world that I've been so far. And I totally would, for sure.
We were just talking about what the opportunities there are. So Patrick is the man in Maui. So if you have questions about Maui, you should ask him.
I will. The properties that I've been seeing like that are like residential are really expensive right now. It's like I seen 3 that was available yesterday and they were like 1.2 or something like that and up. And so if you know how to get, good deals or wedge deals, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Our median right now is about 800. So that's kind of your baseline, right? You say you're looking at rentals. Are you looking short-term rentals or more, long-term tenants?
I was looking at short-term rentals for, just income, but something 3 and 2s for something to live in potentially.
Yeah. So short-term rentals here, your starting point for short-term rental right now is about $400K, just under. So, we've got tons of 1-bedroom options, and Kihei is going to be, your go-to most affordable place. Pre-pandemic, we were hitting 90+% occupancy on those little 1-bedroom units. So they absolutely have a draw and a demand. Once you get over, if you're looking in Lahaina or that area, it gets a little more expensive.
Is that in terms of the HOA? What's a good range for the HOA? Because that's been like anywhere from $2 to $1,200.
Yeah. HOA dues are a bit steep here, especially if you're looking at oceanfront. You've got all kinds of flood zone, flood insurance requirements. But your run-of-the-mill $400,000 or $500,000 condo, you're going to be looking at $600 to $800 a month HOAs typically. And again, for the short-term rentals, a lot of it comes down to the amenities. They've got the pools, tennis courts. Generally the landscaping is quite extensive, a lot of cost there. So, they're a bit higher.
All right. So what we're looking at right now is Hawaii is an interesting location. It does take a big leap of faith in some ways, meaning you're going to have to pay attention to what's going on with the markets. Southwest Airlines has at least helped out in a ways too, because inner island travel has dropped in price dramatically. It used to cost a fortune because there really were only 2 competitors really that were flying between islands, and it cost a fortune just to go between Maui and let's say the Big Island. It was still like $200. Yeah. And now it's dropped to almost nothing, right? How much does it cost to fly to Oahu?
Right now, well, they've been throwing specials around, but you're looking at $50 each way.
That's crazy.
$39 each way. They're running some deals, but yeah, it's cheap.
Now, is there any value in looking at places like Molokai or Lanai, or is that places just to stay away from?
Well, if I put Molokai on the map, someone might come by my house and strangle me. But
why is that? I like Molokai. I think Molokai is a cool.
Molokai is, it's a very Hawaiian place, right? A lot of culture still. It's been relatively unexposed to tourism. But, off the record, I guess, even though we're on the record, Molokai is seeing some opportunities. There's some, larger land acquisitions happening over there. There's some subdivisions happening over there.
I believe the largest land ownership is New Zealand, I believe. They own the largest amount of land out there. And of course, Lanai is owned by Larry Ellison. Larry is the biggest property owner over there too. But we're looking at massive, massive patches of land they're buying. So if you want big land, it's really those islands not Lanai, but it would be the Big Island too. And the Big Island still has massive amounts of property you could buy. And being away from the VOG space, you don't want to be in the VOG area.
Right, absolutely. And the Big Island market is just, it tends to be a little more volatile because of that, right? There's a few unknowns in that market, volcanic activity being one of them that, is part of the reason why, you can get a lot for your money there. But, we're seeing some big land deals happening on Maui right now, 300, 400, 600, an 800 acre deal just closed. And this is all mostly up on the mountainside of Haleakala, which is the 10,000 foot volcano on the southeastern end of the island. So, we are seeing some of that happening. Now, will that ever turn into residential subdivisions? It's going to be a long, 10 plus years before
a lot of traffic issues, because traffic's been a problem.
Is it like Honolulu?
No, I'm saying more like going to Lahaina. It gets bad.
The poly, as we call it, is the 2-lane road that accesses Lahaina. That is really the only traffic congestion location on the island. And unfortunately, there's really no way around it. No. They've extended a bypass through Laniapoko. So coming into Lahaina, they basically alleviated some of that traffic at the first light. But that's going to be a hurdle to overcome in coming years, because there's really no other way to get there other than around the mountain.
Let's do this. Patrick, if people want to hunt you down, find you, where do they go to know more about you?
Yeah. Check us out at villagroupmaui.com. All my social media is Villa Group Maui, Instagram, Facebook. My cell phone's 808-280-7728. Shoot me a text or call anytime, and I'm always happy to chat, be a resource.
Yeah, do us a favor, put that inside the chat, all the contact details you just said. Akira says, I got friends on Molokai. Yeah, I think Molokai it's a great surfer island. Just a lot of people don't know that. It's got the best sea cliffs you could ever imagine. And if you like leprosy, that's the place to hang. It is, right?
Molokai is phenomenal, and you can still get acreage on the beach for under $1 million. So
Akira, what are you going to say?
Consider that.
No, I was just laughing at your terrible leprosy joke, but
Am I wrong?
I don't know.
It's got the only leprosy. It's got the only leprosy colony in the United States.
Yeah, it was a leper colony. Yeah.
Leprosy.
Yeah, it's all good. You just don't shake hands,
Well, you can. They're not contagious anymore. I'm just saying, it's kind of cool. Go down.
Yeah, I will share that our friends who had a designer home in St. Charles, Illinois, suburbs of Chicago, sold that home. This was a home that was so artistic and creative that the only people who were looking at it were people like Jenny McCarthy and these like celebrities out there. They sold it and moved to a plot of land in Molokai that they've had for 20 years. Wow. And they were super hesitant to move there because I think, Patrick, you were alluding to it. Molokai is a very kind of like, they've kept it pure in a lot of ways.
Right.
So now they're building it. They're bringing in all the locals. Their son is involved. He's helping to build this home, and they're doing a much more modest home setup, and they love it.
I think Molokai is one of those secrets. And you're right. It's got one stoplight in the whole island. I mean, it just gives you an idea how pure it is. It's
Right.
true. But they got the red sand or the red mud, and it's unique. All right, put that inside the chat. Patrick, thanks a lot
Yeah.
for hanging out with us today. We really appreciate it. Join us more
Hey,
often,
Ken.
okay?
Ken,
Absolutely.
before
Yeah,
we,
it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
and I have a quick video I wanted to show because next week we're going to have some more people from around the country and around the world. And I wanted to give, we've been talking a lot about people moving from LA, and I wanted to show a quick video, which I think I can do with the share screen here.
Go for it, buddy.
We have a couple minutes, and then we'll have if anybody has questions after that, we can hit those, and then we will say goodbye. I don't quite know how to share it though.
I do have a couple of stories I want to talk about. Vegas.
Got it.
Go for it.
All right. Can you see that? Oh,
Yeah, but we
there's-
can't hear it. You don't have your sound set up properly. No, it's
Oh.
your sound inside your Zoom. You have to go make it so it shares the audio from your clip. So you have to go to your settings and set that up. I'm going to turn that off real quick.
Oh wait, I think I had it. Oh,
No,
shoot.
what you do is you go to your preferences, and in your preferences, click on video, I believe, and then go to, oh, where is it? I got to remember
I
where.
think I had the option right there, but maybe not.
I don't know where it is. This is where I have Will. So I wanted a real quick, a couple of things I want to bring up. And actually, James Mandel just popped in there. So I went to Vegas for the last 4 days. And first, Vegas, the city, it's not good. I'm just saying it kind of looks like everyone that didn't want to go to Disney World decided to go to Vegas. So it was all
There's a lot of fanny packs.
a lot of fanny packs and a lot of gigantic fat ass people. I mean, just huge people, right? There's a lot of diabetes going on there, put it that way, okay? But the exterior areas, Summerlin was mind-blowing. If you guys know what Restoration Hardware is, it's a very upscale furniture store. I've never seen one as big as this in my life. Great quality food. I was really, really impressed by the outside parts of Vegas. Henderson, Summerlin, incredible. Really clean. Free parking everywhere, which is awesome. And the prices were really reasonable. Nothing was like, oh my God, this is super expensive. The reason why I bring that up, James, is it was 108 degrees. And I was still outside, not sweating my ass off, where I think it was 118 degrees where you were that day.
Wow.
No fires. And it was just, it felt better than I expected. And I know that
the Strip is a city within a city.
Yeah.
The Strip is a
Sure
place
is.
you visit.
Yeah, it's you stay away, right?
Yeah.
It's like taking people down to Hollywood to show off Hollywood. You just go there to show people off, and that's it.
Then you leave.
I was
I
talking
ju-
to Michael Lordeau today. He wants to find a place behind the convention center, enroll at the Las Vegas Country Club, and then walk to the convention center 2 or 3 times a week for whatever show is there. That's going to be his entire existence. And it's a brilliant idea in terms of mining new customers. He says for 25 or $50, you just wander into whatever show is going on starting
He's a
next year.
magician.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and you see what you can do. And somebody like Michael, he can pull it off.
You're right. So
Well, you
I
know-
also want to tell you, William Quigley, Taryn have flown in their jet, by the way. Yes, they have a jet. They went to Nashville and Miami. They were blown away by Nashville. First, they said they've seen more cranes in Nashville than they have in China when Shanghai and Beijing were at their peak. Meaning,
By the
there's-
way, next week we have one of the top real estate experts from Nashville who'll be joining us. So
well, yeah, I'm just saying Nashville, they were blown away. They said that Taryn's a foodie. He said he found more Michelin star restaurants there in Nashville. The food was exceptional. Nightlife was great. It was a
Yeah, in Nashville, it's the COVID 40.
maybe, but it was incredible. Then they went down to South Beach, and they said it was dead. It felt uncomfortable. They have a 10 o'clock curfew, which was kind of strange. And they thought initially they were going to find a place in Miami, South Beach. Now they're all looking at Nashville, saying that the lifestyle there was incredible.
It's so cool.
Just saying.
Well,
But-
we literally are going to have one of the best. So you should tell them to come in next week to First Mover. We're going to have the best, one of the top agents in Nashville is joining us.
Yeah, I'm very, very interested. Oh, you like Nashville a lot, huh? That's what Brandon just said. He loves Nashville. Yeah, I'm there in 2 weeks, so I'm anxious to see it myself. Hey, well, let's go to Jared. You have a question, Jared? Unmute yourself. Go for it. Did Jared leave already?
No, I didn't. I'm just trying to figure out how to mute. It's a long one. With regards to real estate being a good long-term investment, looking at the rise in popularity in America of extreme ideologies like socialism, especially with young people, you feel that investments in real estate could be at risk of being seized by squatters or the people, et cetera. A relevant example that comes to mind would be Chaz Chop in Portland. Riots in places like Seattle and Portland going for over 100 nights in a row, and leadership in those areas encouraging this type of activity. It would appear that anyone who previously invested in real estate in those areas would have a compromised investment. Do you think that these are factors that will continue to expand in the country, in the US, which would influence the stability of those investments short and long term?
Did you guys read the article regarding New York and how different areas of New York have gone through this process because of the protesting? They've closed down, and something in the sense of only 25% of restaurants are going to reopen. The governor finally came out and said, hey, at September 25th, they're going to allow indoor dining to happen, but the restaurants just can't make it. Chicago, some of the best restaurants in Chicago have decided not to reopen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned about the big cities, and it's not just the protesting, but it's also COVID. And we're going to see some huge changes in the big cities because a lot of those, I would say, staples that were there will not make it through this economic crisis. The smaller cities, I think the mom and pop groups have been able to survive because the community were there to support them.
That's right.
That's my perception. What do you think, Nathaniel?
Well, I think without delving into too much of the political side of that, I think for the most part, what you see in San Francisco, New York, downtown Los Angeles, LA in general, actually, but not really LA, but downtown Los Angeles, Chicago, the big cities, which is the wealthy are just moving out. If you look at it from New York City alone, 16,000 people moved to Connecticut, just to one town in Connecticut. The Hamptons are now on fire. One of the second most expensive home in the country, actually, just sold in the Hamptons for over, I think it was 115 million.
Wow.
Right? So I think what you're seeing is for the last 15, 20 years overall, not in Hawaii probably, but other places, you've seen people move towards cities for safety, security, health, and comfort, right? And now all those things are being searched out of the city. So I think what you're seeing is a big shift. And yeah, a lot of people who own properties, especially investment properties in those cities, are bleeding, and they're bleeding pretty heavily right now. And there is a buying opportunity there. What's that?
Entertainment. Like, so the cities like downtown LA had a bunch of parties, clubs, rooftop bars, and warehouse parties that I used to know and go to. You don't
That's
think
right.
that'll spring back? I mean, wouldn't that be a calling back to the city, those kind of things? Because where is that going to happen?
It's going to be different, because one of the reasons that those things were there is because there was people to go to them and spend money at them, right? Now, I think people will visit cities, and what a lot of the big cities are planning for is they're going to push, just like, actually, this is exactly what happened in the last recession, funny enough, but for different reasons. They did a huge push infrastructure-wise and funds-wise towards tourism. Tourism was their thing because tourism, people spend more money when they're on vacation, as I'm sure Patrick knows. People are more comfortable to spend money. People budget to spend higher amounts of money when they go out. So I think you're going to see a big shift You're going to see a lot more flex space permanently. You're going to see a lot more of the short-term rentals. I think that's actually going to bounce back, which is a huge opportunity for people right now who can buy them at a depression, right, at a lower rate.
But I do think, Nathaniel, we'll see a different migration path because of things like Zoom. As you know, I call it teleportation now, where
Absolutely.
people do not need to be in those areas anymore. They don't need to be next
That's right.
to Google. They don't need to go next. It's interesting if we go look at Justin Holt, who's who just went to IMDb Movies and IMDb TV.
That's right.
He's not going back to an office structure until the middle or end of next year.
That's right. And in fact, because of that, I really want to dive deep into this because it's a huge shift for the world. And I think more people are going to move to Hawaii and move to Lancaster, which is one of the reasons I've been investing in property there, and move to these other areas that are seen as not as central because you don't need to be near a highway. You don't need to be able to get to that office space.
I think
right?
an airport's important. Like James is thinking about going to Vegas. Vegas has got a great airport, and actually it's got good in and out. The 15 every once in a while gets bogged down, but it's easy to get back and forth to LA if necessary, and it's cheap. So I think places like Vegas make a lot of sense because it's got every practicality that you need that LA offers other than a beach.
I think being within about an hour of an airport is going to be the new freeway. And actually, because of that, as well as one of the top agents in Nashville, we also have the city manager and the head city planner of Calabasas who will be with us next week to delve into these issues on the city side of things, because how cities are going to be permitting and planning for the future. Remember, cities plan 20, 30 years out. So this is disrupting a lot of cities and how they're planning to grow. And so, like if you bought land 20 years ago because you thought the city was going to grow this way, well, that investment might not be as valuable as you thought it was because the city grew out towards Lancaster, right?
So, hey, before we go, Nathaniel, can I make a request?
Sure.
Could we get Greg back on, the attorney with the gigantic balls?
Absolutely.
We had a couple of weeks ago. That guy, Edwin, come on. Was he awesome?
Yeah, that dude was great. Bring him back, man.
Yeah. Greg is, he was trying to make it on this week. He couldn't, but we're either going to bring him on next week or the week after.
Yeah.
He is going to be a regular guest. So Edwin, keep coming back for Greg, and feel free to, you can think about great questions to ask him because he is amazing at what he does.
Can I ask a question real quick, Nathaniel? Just real property out there. I found 40 acres with commercial water, so a commercial water meter on the 40 acres. And there's one house, but the land is zoned commercial or light industrial. So, and it's unincorporated land. It's not in the city of Lancaster, it's right on the edge. How do I get zoning changes?
You go to the city. The easiest thing to do is get an accommodator who can help you do that. I have a great guy, basically a city engineer who can come and do all the permitting, and they know all the rules, so they know what to apply for and if things need to change and what can be done exactly. So it'll save you a lot of time. You can do it yourself, but it will take an immense amount of time, and you'll probably end up wasting money on permits you don't need to apply for. So I can connect you with someone great for that, even.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. John, I think you had a question also earlier.
Me? Yes.
Yeah.
No, basically not a question, but I just listened to the Thai news, on TV today, and they said the property in Thailand is down about 30 to 35%. So it's a great time and then they said there's a lot of new building that basically there's nobody have a power to buy. So they're doing all kind of, freebie and discount left and right. Thinking about that now, I think I should basically go and kind of learn more about how people like us, who is a citizen of the US, can get the property in Thailand. So I don't want to say anything until I know for sure.
I can connect you to somebody down there, actually.
A new Emporium Thai.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
With
there you
not
go.
just sticky rice at the end, but just a sticky hand job at the end.
There we go.
Wow.
Hey, Ken, I think I figured out this video. Do you want to
Go ahead. Try it out.
Try it out. All right.
See if it works.
Here we go. Let's see if it works. Oh.
All right. Come on, Mr. Technical. Come on, Nathaniel. You can do it.
You know, it's asking for some sort of a password or something. I don't think it's going to work.
All right.
Let's
Wait,
see.
there you
Can
go.
hear
There
that?
you go.
Can you hear it?
Nope. But it's got a good
right.
feel to it.
Well,
He's got about 15 seconds to leave that building.
That's
we'll save
All
it for
right.
next week.
Hey, everyone. Patrick, thanks a lot for hanging out. And of course, all you guys hanging out there every Wednesday. And at 7 o'clock, we have an astronaut that lived on the International Space Station. He's going to share his stories about what it was like to live up there. You don't want to miss that. Nathaniel, thank you so much for putting all the time and effort and bringing
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Nathaniel.
And
Bye, everyone.
next
Thank you very
week,
much.
awesome guests. So come back and bring your friends.
Thanks, Nathaniel.
Bye,
Thanks.
Nathaniel. Bye.